rap lyricists are notoriously competitive with each other. So it was a phenomenal moment when two of South Africa's sharpest tools in the lyrical arsenal, that is Gingertrill and of course Touchline, voiced the word that they would be coming together to form what is essentially a super duo. And already throngs of fans, I mean including myself, imagined the perfect archetype of South African lyricism. These are two rappers who have, over the years of their active careers, amassed cult followings who recognize them for what they mainly are. That is, hyper super lyricists, people who focus on the technical device of the art form of spoken word poetry, which is rap. So as a result, imagining the project in itself just feels like it would be perfect in theory. The reality, as it came out, turns out to not be so good. In fact, it's a terrible album. This shocked me, and I think through watching a lot of responses from people whose understandings of critique I respect, there came the consolidation of the constant question of, why do our super lyricists make trash music? And I think for me this was kind of a last straw in identifying and clinically dissecting some of the challenges to why a lot of rappers who are known more for their bars aren't known for their great music. Especially when two who are known in that department come together and they make a project which really has bad music. Gingertrill and Touchline come together for what they dub Boyzen the Hood. A kind of play on the South African term Boyzen, you know, endearment, like my boy, my guy. I mean, even the title itself just feels very lazy. What do you mean Boyzen the Hood? Do you mean the Boyzen are the hood? Or, you know, do you mean the hood is about the boy? I'm just lost. I don't know what's going on. But I like these guys. So I dive into this project, and already on track 1, we up. I am anticipating a momentum that is building up into a good chemistry. I mean, Touchline is going in with his raspy, lispy voice, you know, with the typical kind of easy punchlines we expect him to deliver. The Ginger slides in so effortlessly with this kind of jiggy flow, and I'm thinking this is about to open up to become one of the most interesting projects of this year. Mind you, the beat is not exciting. They're pretty much still floating around this formulaic archetype, but I'm for it. I'm here for it. But 10 minutes into it, I realized that it doesn't go anywhere beyond that. This project is suffocated first and foremost by the empty, glitzy, formulaic samples. There are no inspired beats on this project. Nothing sounds particularly meant for these two rappers. Nothing sounds particularly meant for any of the concepts. It's like they kind of just pulled out a random pool of modern day beats on YouTube. These might as well could have been so-and-so type beats, just rendered with random verses that Touch and Ginger lay on them. And I say random because the second aspect which doesn't bring this project together is that above the fact that these cats have a natural vocal chemistry, Touchline being the peak to Ginger's foundation, Touchline's sharp pincered vocals being a perfect complementing feature to Ginger's more open-ended, bellowing kind of vocal tone. They sound good together on a technical level, but they're not saying anything to each other. It isn't a dialogue. It isn't a real conversation of two rappers establishing some kind of rapport between each other. And so ultimately it leaves one with the baffling question of, why are these niggas even doing this project? It just sounds like some random compilation of songs they may have made and sent to each other via email. There's just no real sense of dual existence that attempts to create a thematic experience where they both fit in. There are moments in which, to be honest with you, this feels like a Touchline project with Gingertrill playing a sidekick. And I say that because album-wise, Touchline is the more experienced. The hooks tend to be driven by him. A lot of the song structure tends to be inclined towards themes that he sets up. And this really feels like a Touchline project with Ginger in the ambience. Kind of like when Jay Electronica put Jay-Z on each and everything in his sophomore project. Hove might have had shining moments, as Ginger on this project definitely has moments where he kind of overshadows Touch lyrically. I think if the two were to really measure swords, you can take that as you want. Ginger definitely has the sharper tongue. He definitely has punchlines which stretch toward the wittier, cleverer. As I said in the beginning, Touch tends to really settle for the first thought. Those easy, accessible punchlines, which can sometimes be a little bit corny. But he saves it by being an all-round complete MC. But like I said, as a result, there is no real partnership in this project. It has me thinking. My theory, as I delve deep into the challenges of what don't make this project truly stand out beyond a kind of flimsy moment, is the fact that a lot of fundamental South African rap experiences, I would go as far as saying a lot of fundamental rap experiences proper, have this beautiful delicate balance of a producer who tries to cater to the rapper, who tries to even cultivate a sound for the rapper. I mean, we were all there during the AKA and early Tweezy days, and when Forbes started to form his own band, and, you know, got cats like the Master A Flat. We were all there when Kwesta and Magwa created a phenomenon which would later be termed the Disco Gongo. We are currently here as Mash Beats ushers in a new era of new Pitori rap, which is basically glazed in sounds that he practically engineers to kind of double up on this congruency of trap and South African flair. So, pivotal moments in rap are also highlighted by pivotal moments in production. Where is the inspiration? Where are the producers to guide skilled rappers into a place that fits their identity and gives them room to grow and understands the kind of rappers that they are? Because I really feel like I shouldn't be pressing a lot of the critique on Touch and Ginger here. They really tried their best. I mean, they're trying to harness their strength as songwriters, and perhaps this is one of the reasons why they even joined forces to begin with, in trying to, you know, each one teach one. They're really trying to transcend this very label of being super lyricists, but they do it on a canvas which doesn't support their styles. And as a result, all it really does is suffocate them in monotony. It looks like the formula was, let's do what everybody else is doing on the kind of beats that they usually do it in. And they're not everybody. They are uniquely harnessed as being rappers with more of a literary flair to them. So for them to kind of water themselves, even attempt that, to something which doesn't quite blend to their immediate impulse feels extremely disingenuous. I mean, I'm not sure if they take this as an offense, but both of these cats are essentially cypher rappers with commercial appeal. These are the kind of people you would love to hear in the midst of cats freestyling. But you'd also love to extricate them and see if they can actually deliver any solid narratives for the club, for the intimate moments, for life in general. And there have been glimmering moments in both of their careers where they've given us amper moments, like really almost, but it doesn't quite settle to the fore. And I think this project doesn't do them justice because, again, it buries them in the typical. Two of the strongest tracks here, previously mentioned We Up, that opens up the project, and the Superstar feature from Questa starring Movie Again, which are both relevant to the South African climate, familiar to the ears, but a little bit too familiar to the ears. They sound like tracks you might have heard before in a way that's annoyingly narrow and one-dimensional. So as a result, this is a travesty of talent choosing to subject itself to the heavy weight of commercial trend. My last piece of advice for two amazing MCs who still have the opportunity to kind of resurface from this with a sense of dignity, it all begins with realizing what kind of township we are. I mean, not everybody in the township is going to be uMajaiva. Not everybody in the township is going to be the guy of Vulisekela and the guy that makes abantu bafuna uvulisekela. In other words, not everybody in the township has got the impulse that infectiously gets everybody to want to dance. We're not all going to be Keenan Forbes or OK Malum Cool Cat or Casper doing Ivosho. Some of us are going to be responsible for making the townships reflect. Some of us are going to be responsible for a Maglera-esque sense of reflection on the times. And I think Touch and Ginger are both MCs gifted with the palette of being able to make the township stop and think for a moment about where they are. And that is not necessarily a bad thing musically. You just have to kind of tone down the pedantic tone so that people don't feel spoken to in a way that attempts to teach, but they just feel like they're having a conversation. These are two conversationalists. These are MCs groomed in a way that I don't think is destined for the clubs, but is destined for somewhere which might be equally, if not more, important. The personal capacity of how people perceive their own realities as they struggle with their own identity. Touchline and Gingertrill have a vocabulary and an imagination that is way too vast for the clubs to even limit. And I think they might be perceiving it the other way around. They might think that the greatness is found in being able to make people dance. And I think in these days and times where there are rappers brave enough to just pursue their own niche and find a way to harness that flow, it's never been more evident how that is not only a fallacy, but some bullshit. So, mabavuke kaka of just thinking uba they need to pander to the dance floor. You are incredible rappers who will make the dance floor come to you. So as a result, I think that is the characteristic mistake of this project. It is ironically uncharacteristic of both rappers. I think these are both cats who you could find in the clubs, but they wouldn't be doing anything which is close to dancing. They'd probably be there observing the dances, observing the joy, observing the ecstasy, and go home and write some bars about it. And this wasn't an opportunity that they took to do that. They were awkwardly trying to fit in. And I think this is what makes Boyzen the Hood a project which flounders really on the 4 out of 10 mark. For two MCs who've continuously released projects which are beyond that, I'm using this as an opportunity to humble them into the capacity of understanding their own greatness. I'm not being hard, I'm just being real hypocritical of rappers who I think can do way better than this. And who I think are at a place in their careers where self-awareness is key. So as a result, this is one of the most disappointing projects of the year, simply because it still shows that even some of our great rappers are experiencing an identity crisis, which might be brought about by the new generation of youth emerging. So maybe the need to compete is there. It might be brought about by the fact that they feel funneled into a certain sound. Whatever the hell is wrong, I just want to say, Ginger, Touch, you are who you are because you rap better than most. And if you could tap into that, a project like this still has life. I'd love to hear more of Boys in the Hood, but like they would do it. Because I don't think this is truly a rendition of what comes from their souls. It feels like mimicry. It feels like a performative attempt to fit into the current mold. And I think that they have a skill set which is vast enough for it to be massively accessible without trying to copycat the kids. My name is Vijay, the brother from the ancient mother. Sometimes the older rappers need to do better by understanding their own power.